What's going on, YouTube? Ferocity here. Hope you guys are doing well. We're just a little under a month away from the launch of Black Ops 6, and it seems as if Treyarch is already in damage control mode when it comes to their map design. I think it's safe to say that one of the biggest takeaways from the beta was that the map design in Black Ops 6 was disappointing or downright atrocious. The maps didn't flow properly, they didn't look good, they didn't play well, and frankly, it left a lot to be desired from a franchise that has knocked it out of the park in previous entries when it comes to map design. It's hard to believe that the same company that made maps like Hijacked and Raid and Summit created a map like Babylon or a map like Derelict or Rewind. Like, these maps lack character, but they also lack basic map flow that their old games all seem to have. And some people are pointing at the new Omni movement system as the reason why these maps don't flow properly. But no, Treyarch did a tremendous job in Black Ops 3 incorporating their new movement mechanics into their map design. That was one of the highlights of Black Ops 3, was the fact that their maps were incredible. But with Black Ops 6, they don't work. It doesn't work with the Omni movement system, and they just don't work fundamentally as Call of Duty maps. Everything is too fast-paced, everything is chaotic, and has no flow or control to it, which is one of the beauties of some of the older maps that we've already talked about. So where do they come in with damage control? Well, Treyarch knows there's a bunch of hysteria when it comes to their map design so far. So they have to shut that down. We're a month away from release. People are already saying they're canceling their pre-orders after the beta. No. Trust us, guys, the other maps are going to be just fine. So they decided to give us a little sneak peek at every map that was not in the beta. Show us a little overview of the map and let us know that, hey guys, the majority of these maps are medium-sized maps. They're going to be reminiscent of Raid or Summit. But here's the difference between Raid and Summit and something like Skyline in Black Ops 6. That's what the map's called, right? I think so. Nonetheless, they flow better. There's proper flank routes. The entire map doesn't just conjoin in and of itself. You have to use proper lanes to navigate the map, instead of it just being this cluster mine of nonsense. And the middle of the maps are a little bit emptier. Take Raid, for example. The courtyard in the middle of the map, it can be seen from everywhere, but you can also use it as ways to entice players to come out of their sections, whether or not they're at zigzag or if they're in kitchen. You can force their play. You can properly set up. How do you properly set up to control areas on Skyline? You can't, because you can enter the middle area from anywhere, and it's kind of impeded by the pool in the middle as well. That's just this dead zone. There's no dead zone in Raid. There's no dead zone in Summit. There's areas to utilize for cover, but there's no dead zone. Derelict has the same issue as well. There's just this massive dead zone in the center of the map because they just have a bunch of train cars there, which disrupts the flow of the map. So while, yes, these maps can be the same size as Raid or Summit, but if the overall design philosophy is different, they're not going to operate that same way, which has a lot of people in the community already talking about remaking maps. Which, I don't know if you remember, but back in Black Ops 4, one of the biggest criticisms the community had with that game was the fact that all Treyarch did was bring in old maps. They had 6 new maps and 6 maps from old Black Ops games. Same thing goes with MW3. All they did was bring in all the MW2 launch maps from 2009. That was their launch maps for MW3. So it leaves a lot to be desired if that's what you have to fall back on. But don't worry, like, Treyarch has an incredible catalog of maps they can use and reuse. Like, we don't always have to go back to the Nuketown well or the Raid well or the Hijacked well. We can go back to a map like Grid or a map like Plaza. We don't have to constantly remake the same 5 or 6 maps over and over and over again. And honestly, I think a map like Grid or a map like Plaza would play very well in Black Ops 6, because the core philosophy behind those maps are a lot better than what you have in Black Ops 6. Because what Black Ops 6 is trying to create is more chaos, Whereas these other maps were trying to create flow and control. You can control certain areas of the map in Plaza or in Grid. You can't do that in a lot of the maps in Black Ops 6. And on top of it, you actually had areas you could spawn safely, something you also can't do in Black Ops 6 because their spawn logic is mind-numbingly stupid. But I'm very concerned that all Treyarch is going to do is try to appease the players that say, just give us the maps, just give us the old maps, instead of trying to create new maps and learning from their mistake. Because if they just jam-pack the game with old maps, they're not going to learn anything. They're not going to learn how to correct this error. All they're going to do is say, okay, well, even if we make bad maps next time, we can just fall back on our incredible catalog of great maps. And they have an incredible catalog of great maps. That does not fix the problem, though. What they do need to do is go back to the root of their map design here in Black Ops 6, figure out why it doesn't work, correct it, and make new maps that solve that issue. And even go in and remake some of the maps they've already made to properly adhere to the philosophies that made their old maps so great. I'm not saying don't remaster any maps. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they need to do both. Bring us Grid and Plaza, or Hunted in Arsenal, whatever it might be. Heck, even bring back Moscow from Black Ops Cold War. I'd be happy with that. But also create new maps, because we know you can do it. Maps that actually play well and flow well and are going to be remembered by this community, instead of maps that are just going to be forgotten. And I know that there are people out there that do like the maps in Black Ops 6. It's because they like the gameplay loop that Black Ops 6 presents. And that's okay. I think that Black Ops 6 can deliver both sides of the gameplay experience. You can have that crazy, fast, always in action type of gameplay, and you can have the more methodical, philosophical, that sounds way too pretentious, but the more methodical way of playing Call of Duty, where it was more about positioning, where it was more about control, versus running in and dying every 2 seconds. We can have our cake and eat it too. The community is big enough to support both ways of playing, and it would just be nice to be catered to both ways of playing, instead of us just being force-fed this nonsense way to play Call of Duty that honestly loses its lust after quite a short amount of time. But that's just my thoughts on this. I'm very curious to know what you think when it comes to the map design in Black Ops 6. Were you enticed by the new overhead looks they showcased on their 8 maps that they didn't give us during the beta? Or are you like me, a little bit skeptical and also concerned that this game is just going to try to shove this god-awful gameplay loop down our throats? I don't know. But those are my thoughts on this, and I'd love to hear from you. So leave a comment down below, and as always guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. If you want to see more videos from me, please hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time.